July 7th. This is the July 7th, 2025 meeting of the Woodstock Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency. It is 7:16 PM, and we will start with a roll call.
Marla Butts.
Mark
Stuart
Parker.
Peasley. Sorry, Mark.
No problem. Mark Parker.
And Bill Rowinski, and I believe Kathy Barrick is not going to be with us tonight. So we don't have any alternates to appoint. And I would at this point like to make a motion to amend the agenda to move administrative business item 8A up until number 4, and then change all the numbers after that to move up one.
I don't know if you as the chair can make that motion, so I'll make that motion to move administrative business subsection A to after item 4.
Second.
Okay, motion by Marla Butts, and seconded by Mark Parker to move item 8A up after item 4. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion is unanimous and passes. Okay, action on minutes of previous meeting, regular meeting, June 2nd, 2025. Does anybody have any questions or?
Yeah, I have one comment on page 1, item 6B, near the bottom, the motion. So I think that the last line should say system repair as shown on the application, and add the words "and the piling of stones as detailed in new application 26-25-28, page 2 of 3.
So you're basically moving like the last part of that sentence, moving that up.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
thinking that should be moved. I mean, read that motion and see if it makes sense to you the way it's written. Is it understandable?
Well,
I got a little
goes-
confused there when I first read it.
No, it goes together. That would be fine.
And so then you would end up crossing off as well as to approve under new application this and then the 06-25-28, the stockpiling stone is detailed on page 2 of 3, also under maintenance and use of a residential home. I just think it's better to say what the 2 items were that were approved right up front. Because we recall she amended the application, he amended the application to include the stockpiling of the stones in the
Yep.
use permitted as of right application.
Yep. Okay, does anybody else have any other?
Oh, I have one other. Bottom of page 2. My name is misspelled, so Stu, you're not alone. It's Butts, not Buts.
Okay, is there any other corrections?
I didn't see any.
Yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the meetings as amended.
I move to approve the minutes of the June 2nd, 2025 minutes with the 2 changes as noted in the discussion.
Second it.
Okay,
Stuart Peasley.
motion by Marla Butts and seconded by Stuart Peasley to approve the minutes of the June 2nd, 2025 wetlands meeting as amended and corrected. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All
Aye.
right.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there are no nays. We're all unanimous on aye, so the motion passes. Okay, moving on to next. Appointment of John Guskowski to Wetlands Agent position. Would somebody like to make the motion, or is there any discussion that we need to have?
I have a question first. John, you have to have a certification from DEEP. Have you submitted a copy of that to the Wetlands Office?
I have not submitted a copy. I never got a hard copy of it. I went through the certification 2 years ago,
Okay,
and received confirmation, but not a certificate. I can track that down, but you
that's
have,
okay. It's
on the
it's-
record,
I've
you have my word. I passed the
Yeah,
wetlands.
I've seen that before because other people who have filed for certification didn't get a hard copy, didn't get a certificate. So I trust that you got it anyways. So I will move to appoint John. How do you pronounce your last name? Guskowski?
Yep, Guskowski.
Okay. As the Woodstock Inland Wetlands Agent and to deauthorize Dan Malo as the Wetlands Agent.
Second the motion. Stuart Peasley.
Okay, we have a motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Stuart Peasley to appoint John Guskowski as the Woodstock Wetlands Agent and to unappoint, the word she used, to Dan Malo as the unauthorized Dan Malo as the Wetlands Agent. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to citizens' comments. Is there anyone from the public who would like to make a comment at this point? This is generally for people to express themselves about something that is not on the agenda already. And it's intended to be brief in nature also. Okay, not hearing anyone requesting, we'll move on. Pending applications, application 05-25-26 Andrews Road, Shane Pollock, proposed two-lot subdivision within an upland review area. Is there any comments from anybody, or any representatives would like to comment?
Yes, sir. For the record, Norm Tebow, Killingly Engineering Associates. I'm here representing Mr. Pollock this evening. And I think we went over this kind of thoroughly last month. It's a rather simple subdivision, total of 5.8 acres of land. We're proposing two new lots. One 2.107 acres, one 3.697 acres. They will be utilizing a shared driveway that is essentially going to be an improvement on an existing cart path that accesses the site now. Both homes, the septic system designs, well, not the designs, but the feasibility of these have been reviewed by the Northeast District Department of Health and approved. The houses are placed essentially in the center of the lot. At the high points, there's a kind of a ridge along the center that runs from north to south, and drainage from the lot flows east and west from these high points. There is no direct wetland impact. We do have a clearing within about 50 feet on the 3.7 acre lot, and that is adjacent to the eastern wetland. The western wetland is essentially to the left side of the proposed driveway. We've shown a continuous line of silt fence while that driveway is improved, any of the improvements that are done on it. We've also showed silt fence at the limits of clearing for the lots themselves. And we are proposing to put a cross culvert in at the driveway entrance. There is a little bit of a roadside swale there, where drainage flows to the west and ultimately makes its way to the western wetlands. So we are just going to keep that drainage pattern consistent with the development of these lots.
I have a
No,
question,
go ahead.
question for you, Norm.
Yep.
Right near Andrews Road, it looks like there's a little tiny corner that's actually going to be filled in the wetlands. Is that correct? It's grayed out if it's on your sheet.
No, that's just the easement. The easement.
Okay, that's the
those-
easement line. All
Yeah,
right.
that shaded area is the easement, so there's no direct impact. The pipe and the riprap on each end of the pipe are out of the wetlands.
Okay. My recollection was last month, when we talked about this, that even though it's two lots for one permit, that the permit would be owned by one individual, that there wouldn't be a partial transferal should one of the lots be transferred to somebody.
Correct.
And I'm thinking that if we, and I don't have a problem with approving it, but any approval that we issue for a permit should probably have a condition on it that no portion of the permit can be transferred without a new application being submitted.
Yeah,
So-
we have no objection to that. Mr. Pollock will be doing the building himself. He doesn't sell building lots. He builds homes and he buys land to build homes. So I don't object to that at all.
I have a procedural question. I'm looking at the package, for 0525-26. And page 1 at the top right-hand side says that it was received on 5/28/25. But when I scroll down to the actual, scanned copy, I don't see a stamp on it like we have in the past. Has that changed, or did it just not get stamped this time?
I think it just didn't get stamped
Okay, all right.
because it is signed and sealed. So I would say that the two should be together. So there probably should be a receipt stamp date on it.
Right,
There,
right.
there's at the very top of the first page, there's a land use office seal that says received 5/28/25.
Yeah, but that's not the stamp that we usually use. Well, as for example, when I opened up package number 0625-31 and I scroll to the application form, there's a stamp right on the right-hand side that says received June 23rd, 2025, Town of Woodstock's Land Use Department. I'm just wondering if we're still going to be consistent in using that or not.
Yeah, I think Dan put that the receipt date with the logo. I think he did that electronically. He dumped it in. I'll bet it's not on the hard copy.
Okay.
So, John, if you get a chance, could you check to make sure there's a receipt date actually on the application itself,
Sure.
not just one that's on the electronic version?
Right.
There's a logo on page 10 on the Andrews Road of Butters. But
Yeah, but usually it's like an inked stamp,
An ink,
Oh,
and then
okay.
you scan the document.
okay,
And so I think
Yeah.
that was put on after it was scanned, so it may not be on the original.
That was probably done this way because I would assume, Norm, you probably transmitted the whole packet electronically.
Yes.
So it wouldn't have been, he wouldn't have put a physical stamp on the PDF set because it's a PDF. And then they would have had to rescan the whole hard copy set. Whereas, the applicant just gave us an electronic set to begin with.
Yep.
Well, we brought the hard copies in, and then it was requested that we send the application package electronically as well.
Right.
Yep.
So, but Mr. Chair, I will verify that there is a physical copy in the land use office with a stamp that matches the date as pointed out by Mr. Parker.
thank you.
Lewinsky, one question for Norm. When you say like an exhibit B clearing to within 65 feet of the wetlands. Is that including getting down to bare dirt and stumping?
Yes,
Okay. So generally, when you use that term, that's what you would mean?
yeah, clearing
No, I don't think so.
typically means, clearing, removal of stumps, whatever minor grading is necessary and so forth. So, if it were just selective clearing, we would indicate that. We've used that terminology before as well.
Okay, I'm just want to see if we're just removing the vegetation or whether we're disturbing the dirt, so. Any other questions from anybody?
Hi, Bill.
Hello, hi Kathy.
It's not Lynn, it's
Kath-
Kathy, yes. Sorry, I'm
Okay.
late.
Okay, Kathy is joining us at 7:32 PM. Is there, there's no other questions. I entertain a motion on this application.
Okay, I'll make that motion. I move to approve application 05-25-260 Andrews Road for Shane Pollock for doing work on a proposed two-lot subdivision, such work being in the upland review area, on the condition that should a lot be sold and developed by another individual other than Mr. Pollock, that a new application would have to be received by the wetlands, that there shall be no partial transfer of any permit.
Second motion. Oh, Bill, sorry, Mark, sorry.
Gotta say the whole thing.
Okay, we have a motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Mark Parker to approve application 05-25-260 Andrews Road for Shane Pollock. The two-lot subdivision with the condition that the permit does not transfer to a new owner as enumerated in Marla's description. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norm.
Thanks,
Moving
Norm.
on to
Yeah.
moving on to application 06-25-28 23 Hiawatha Heights, Wesley Smith and Susan McMillan, shoreline retaining wall repair. Have any representative tonight?
Wesley. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yep. Do you have any further comments or anything you would like to enumerate on this?
No, we went over everything last meeting. Yeah, just a note about spelling, but in the application, McMillan is it's supposed to be M-A-C, capital M-I-L-L-A-N. Just for the record with the town as well. We don't, you
Yeah.
know, when he mess ups in the future. But
Okay.
that's it. I believe, given the Wetlands Agency what you need, had type of approval last meeting, but because I had submitted it late to the agency, we had to wait the 30 days or to the next meeting. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I see different faces here, I think.
Marla Butts speaking. I do have a couple of questions because I'm looking at your photographs that you supplied.
Okay.
Now, the application refers to replacing an existing retaining wall.
Yep.
It looks like what you're actually doing is not only that the entire property doesn't look like it has a retaining wall along the water. It looks like a
It does
portion of it I
underwater.
can see, but between where the stones are actually visual on your application
Yes.
to where the dock is, it doesn't look like there's a wall there. So what you are proposing is to clearly extend that wall. It looks like there's some stones in the water, but
That's right. That's the wall.
oh, so the wall is underwater.
Yeah, it's caved in. It's It's ruined. It needs to
Okay,
be
and that-
replaced for shoreline protection.
And that transfers all the way down to the dock? I couldn't
Yes.
see it in the photographs that it went all the
Okay,
way.
yes, it does. Actually, the area where the dock is, there is stone there.
Okay, I could see the stone on the other side of the dock, yeah, but I couldn't see it to, which would have been the south of the, would that be south
Yeah.
of the dock?
Yeah, from the dock all the way to where you see the stone
Hmm,
is, it's collapsed. It was light stone in the first place.
are you gonna
Past
reuse any of that stone, do you think?
everything we can.
Okay,
Yep, every bit of stone that we have on site will save us from, I need to bring in larger stone because the wave action
hmm,
as well as ice, although the ice hasn't been, as much of a problem, because the lake drawdown is longer.
Mhm.
So it freezes when the lake is drawn down rather than having come back up.
hmm.
So it doesn't do the damage as much, but and this has been 25 years that I've been wanting to do this job, and I'm retired now. And I have a good contractor, and I'd like to shore up our shoreline. We do have a new septic system. Thank you very much for that. And
No.
yeah, that's about it, unless you have other questions.
So I just have one question that's not totally relevant to this, but your site plan shows a dug well. Do you still use that well?
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, no, we don't right now. We don't use it. Our neighbors use those wells, and when the lake drawdown comes down, they don't have much water. And Tom Goodkind, when he sold the property to us, he took out some trees to get a well truck in and put the dug well in. And it was basically because it's basically because we're a family of 5, and there was no way we were
Yep.
going to be able to do that. And yeah, so what I wanted to use the existing dug well for was probably an artesian well. Just a fountain.
Oh. Didn't gonna have it.
I don't
Right,
have any
anybody
more
else have any-
questions.
Yeah, there's no picture
Anybody
of that. It has a very heavy concrete lid on it.
Okay. Anybody have any further questions? I would entertain a motion on this application.
I'll move to approve application. Hold on, 06-25-28, 23 Hiawatha Heights. By Wesley Smith and Susan McMillan for repair of retaining wall along the shoreline on the condition that the work be done when the lake is drawn down.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
I'll second
Would anybody?
Stuart Peasley.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Marla Butt, seconded by Stuart Peasley to approve application 06-25-28, 23 Hiawatha Heights, Wesley Smith and Susan McMillan, shoreline retaining wall and rebuild and repair on the condition that the work is done when the water is drawn down. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr.
ladies
Sweeney.
and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
New applications, moving on to 06-25-31. This is a wetlands agent approval already. 261 Lion Road, J. Hibbert, above ground pool and deck in the upland review area. Does anybody want to make any comments about that?
Do we know if the legal notice hasn't been published yet? So it's scheduled, well, it should have been published on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I believe it was in there.
Okay, so then it's subject to a potential appeal to the commission till the 19th of September, of July. So I don't think
Yep.
there's any action that we can take on this. Just wait.
Nope, just presenting it. The cover page on this wetlands agent approval, on number 3, it says if the activity authorized by the agency's permit involves an activity which requires zoning or subdivision approval, special permit or variance or special exception, then no work pursuant to this approval may begin until other approvals are obtained. I'm wondering if we should say until all other approvals are obtained.
It's, unless we get an appeal, I would say that would be, this is pretty standard language, I think, for the wetlands agent approvals. So that would be language that John could change in the future in the issuance of approvals.
Yeah, and well, not to quibble about language, but all approvals presumably would also include a certificate of occupancy, which can only happen after all the work is done.
Okay, well, that's why I'm throwing it out there. That's,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. All right, let's move on then to application 06-25-32 276 Senexit Road, Senexit Retreat House LLC. Ruling for debris, invasive tree removal and stumping.
I see Mr. Abram. How do you pronounce your name, Barry?
Bromowitz. Barry's just fine though.
Oh, okay.
Barry Abramowitz.
It's very helpful. I saw this from Roseland Park. And because of the work that I could see from across the park, it appeared that there was a concern. I know you'd been before Planning and Zoning Commission for getting certain approvals, and I was concerned that you may have had other ideas of what you wanted to do in and around the lake, because we do have that happen when people acquire new properties and they don't realize that they needed to get approvals to do work in the lake. I noticed that your application said that you wanted to remove debris from the lake. How was that proposal going to be done? Was that going to be done mechanically or manually?
I think it's going to be a combination of both. We already pulled some of as I'm sure you can appreciate that the property was rather unkept for many
Yes.
years. So, and I do apologize for not submitting this application. I misunderstood the requirements for permitted activities. But yeah, so we did pull some of the dead trees out that had fallen into the water. Pull those from the shore. There's a cove there with a stone break wall, and everything blows across the lake right into that area. So to answer your question, it would be a combination of both. I think I'm going to have to actually go in the water and pull some of the stuff out, the debris out, and then I'm not sure we can mechanically get anything close enough to the shore to scoop anything out, with a backhoe. Without, we're not looking to I'm looking to skim the top of the water and get all the debris out. I'm not looking to disturb any of the shoreline at all.
So my question to you is, how much cubic yardage are you figuring that you would be removing from the high water mark in the lake? Any idea what you're looking at?
I honestly do not. It's an area that's probably stretches 50 or so feet, and then it goes out into the water, maybe a few feet. So like I said, it's just mostly everything that's blown into that cove area.
Okay. Is Mr. Hill here? Who's submitted a letter? Because he's the one performing the work.
Yeah, yes, he is the one that's done the work up to this point, and we'll finish the work off if approved.
All right, so I'm unclear as to exactly how much disturbance we're talking about at the shoreline, how much material we're talking about being removed. It's unclear to me. We have granted uses permitted as a right for maintenance enjoyment of a residential home along Roseland Lake for when the area of removal and the extent of the material that's being removed, the amount is being removed. We've approved that as a use permitted as right. So because you don't really have any details on exactly how much you want to take out, I'm a little reluctant to just give you a blank, to recommend that we approve a blanket, yeah, you can remove debris until we know what the amount is and how far extensive is that. We could limit it to a certain cubic yardage, that you can't take more than so many cubic yards of material along the shoreline. We just don't know exactly what it is that you're gonna do. It doesn't, it's
Yeah,
not,
and yeah, until I get into it, it's kind of hard to guesstimate how much material is really there. I mean, this is not a high priority. Again, it was just part of cleaning up the area. I can certainly work with if you would be more comfortable issuing a limited, a limit of cubic feet removed. I can certainly work with that. And then if I have to come back, I can come back and submit another application.
correct, correct. Because you've got where that stone jetty goes out into the lake, you've got on the south side of that, you've got quite a bit of organic material that's accumulated. And it was
Yes.
unclear to me in your description whether you were looking to remove that organic material, which is different than just taking out sticks and branches
Right.
and that kind of thing. So I have no objection to removing of sticks and branches
Right.
and stuff that has fallen in. That's typically done more or less manually. But if it's actually removing accumulated sediment, I think you have to have a better plan.
No, I'm actually not looking to remove sediment. I can say that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know, as an example, I know my next door neighbor just had some work done where he cleaned up the shoreline. Excuse me, and I'm not looking to do that at this point. Again, it was just to tidy up the area and get everything that had fallen in the water out.
Stuart Peasley here. It would be helpful if we had some kind of a site plan, even a diagrammatic one that would sort of give the layout. I'm not familiar with the property, but I know we could Google Earth it, but any kind of plan layout would be helpful.
I did submit a GIS map, but I think that is I'm actually on the agenda twice. I'm on it for a violation later. That's all. This is all part of the same issue.
Okay.
But I did submit a GIS map that shows the cove area.
Yeah, it's listed as A down by the lake. It's on page 5 of his application document, Stu.
Okay.
And
if you'd like me to share screen, I can have the photos up, but I don't know if that's
that would be
useful.
good. That would be good. Typically, that's what Dan would do, is while we're discussing something, he puts up on screen shares the stuff that has already been posted on the website.
Okay. So
So-
can you see the GIS map right now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So you've identified an area A, which doesn't really show stuff in the lake itself, but your description talked about stuff in the lake. So I would have no objection to, after looking at how flat the land is, and you're not planning to do any real grading work.
Yep, that's a good picture there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good picture. And that's why I was concerned about, so you can see how shallow it is and how much there's been a lot of debris that's organic matter that is accumulated there. If you wanted to do something along the edge there to remove the organic material other than sticks and branches, then you'd have to have a better plan, I think. But I have no problem granting use permitted as of right for maintenance and enjoyment of residential home for the removal of all sticks and branches located near the shoreline, directly in the water and near the shoreline. And I think that there's no need, given the fact that you don't propose any grading work, you're not really going to be regrading the slope within 125 feet of the water body, correct?
Correct. Yeah, no grading work at all.
Yeah. So I don't see a problem with, now that we understand what it is you want to do, if you do decide that you wanted to come back for dredging, that's what it would be, or something
yeah.
along the shoreline, you'd have to come back with a better plan.
Oh, sure. No, that would be more than adequate. Like I said, I'm just trying to clean up. And then once I clean up what's sort of floating out there, I can better evaluate exactly if there's any other work that needs to be done, and then submit that separately for approval.
When are you planning to reseed the area within
Yes.
125 feet? When do you plan to do that?
As soon as the commission signs off.
Okay.
Yeah.
You understand that the seeding dates don't start until August, I think it's August 15th or August 1st, because there's not sufficient rain usually. So,
That's fine. Mhm.
so if you're going to try to do lawn establishment, you're probably going to want to wait a little bit, unless you have the ability to water it from the house.
Well, that's what and I appreciate you saying that. I do have a well, a pump house that I'm actually, I have the well company coming tomorrow to let me know if it's possible to use that well, and that would give me irrigation ability down in that area.
Where is that located? Is it shown on the photograph, or where would it be on the diagram the GIS map that you gave us? Because you've got area A, you've got an area B.
I'll tell you, you know where it's right. If you're looking at the map, it would be right to the north of letter B there, sort of where the dark area is.
Okay. Yep.
There's a pump house there.
Yep. Yep. So that would be fine, as long as you have a source of water to keep the grass growing.
Yeah, there was originally grass down there.
Mhm.
It's gotten all torn up from driving over it. So not torn up, but kind of trampled.
Pretty flat down by the lake.
It's very
like.
flat down by the lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the shoreline to the foot of the hill is it's 170 feet before the hill. It's very deceiving. I can certainly understand when you look at it from Roseland Park. It's very difficult to get the depth and breadth of the property.
Mhm.
But it is a significantly flat area down. It's a big, huge football field down there.
Just for your information, the town's GIS program
Mhm.
does have topography from 2016, LiDAR topography. So you can actually see that area A is a very flat area from the GIS application
Mhm.
that the town has. I don't have any more questions.
Marla, I have a question. Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I would just like to know what kind of invasives you're talking about. Are you talking about invasives in the lake or?
Well, there is a little bit of invasives in the lake. The tall, you can see in that picture, almost right where the arrow was.
That's Phragmites.
Yeah.
The weeds in the grass yeah, I see.
And then, the rest of the invasives were, bittersweet. And I think I know Mr. Hill described.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, what the invasives that he came across. Yeah, so it had been uncared for so long that it was taken over.
I'm sorry, Barry or actually everybody, would that be on, is that on your application that I'm just not familiar with?
Is what on the application?
About what kind of invasives there are?
No, I wasn't specific about it,
Okay,
but.
I just wondered if I didn't wanna keep asking you questions about it if
Oh, no, that's
you
fine.
had already written it up.
No, it's in Mr. Hill's letter. He was talking about that.
Okay,
So you would be looking to be removing the Phragmites?
Well, or yeah, trying, well, that's going to be a very difficult process, but trying to certainly control them from doing the best I can from spreading.
So the best thing to do for the small amount that you have is just keep cutting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep mowing it, keep weed whacking it down.
Yeah, my neighbor's
then-
my neighbor actually further to the right of that picture, he's dealing with the same thing, and he was telling me how he's been trying to maintain it. So I was gonna
Do
replicate.
not put herbicides on it.
Oh, no. It's cut. Yeah. No, nothing near the waters. Yeah. But I'm not a big herbicide person anyways, so.
In the first picture that shows there's a little white pickup truck on the right, then there's a yellow bucket with backhoe, and then there's like a little structure there. It looks like a couple of pallets on it. Is that where the well is?
Oh, no, that's
What is it?
that's just an arbor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The well is actually way behind the truck, up the hill a little bit.
Up the hill a little bit. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's just an arbor. I want to keep it. My wife wants to take it down.
Yeah.
I don't have any further questions.
Anybody else have any questions? I would entertain a motion on this application.
I'll move to approve application 06-25-32, 276 Senexic Road. The Senexic Retreat House LLC for use permitted as of right for the removal and clear cutting of vegetation within the 125-foot upland review area with a limitation that any work in or abutting the Roseland Lake shall be done manually and only for the removal of woody vegetation and or herbaceous cutting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Mark Parker to approve application as a use permitted as of right for work near Roseland Lake. The details should be in the recording. Does anybody have any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask a
Yes, sir.
question, I'm just unfamiliar with your process, but I noticed that the enforcement letter that was sent to me is on the agenda later in the meeting. Does this address that, or should I?
It's let's see where it is.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, my sense is, yeah, that addresses the same thing, and we can probably move on from there.
Yeah, it just one thing for the record I would say is that when you have something, an exemption or use permitted as of right or non-regulated use, that is something that the Wetlands Agency determines. And you don't get to determine that for yourself.
No, I misunderstood. I do apologize. I misunderstood because I did check all that prior to beginning any work, and I read section 4, and I said, oh, all right, it's permitted, and I made a careless mistake. I didn't realize that too. So I do apologize, and I've learned. So anything that I would contemplate, I would certainly bring before the commission.
Yeah, I'm just making that clear because a lot of people don't know that also, so.
Yeah.
Well, thank
No,
you
I
very
do now.
much.
All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, good night, thank you. Moving on to application 06-25-330 Route 198, Roy DeRozier, proposed driveway crossing. Daniel, you're representing Mr. DeRozier?
Yes, sir.
So what do you want to tell us, Daniel?
All right. Good evening, everyone. For the record, I'm Daniel Blanchette. I'm a licensed civil engineer and surveyor. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Roy DeRozier, who is interested in constructing a new driveway across Cohasset Brook. Now, Mr. DeRozier recently purchased a property on Route 198. It's located on the east side of Route 198, close to the Massachusetts line, just south of Pole Bridge Road. And he is looking to construct a culvert to cross Cohasset Brook, which runs along Pole Bridge Road. Now, the site is about 40 acres. He can access 2 to 3 acres from Route 198, but most of the site, again, is kind of landlocked behind a large wetland area from Route 198. And so what we're looking to do is construct a driveway to go from Pole Bridge across Cohasset Brook to the interior of the site. The proposed culvert, oh, I see Mr. DeRozier's here, thank you. Hi. Now, the proposed culvert is going to be 34 feet long. It will be roughly 6 feet wide and 4 feet tall. It will be a corrugated metal pipe with kind of an hook shape. It's going to have 6 inches of gravel underneath to allow the passage of wildlife. Again, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yep, great. Thank you, John. So here's a picture of the site plan. You can see Pole Bridge Road running generally south and easterly. Thank you. And there will be the proposed driveway over Cohasset Brook. Thank you. With the proposed culvert.
The question, Daniel, this is Bill Rowinski. Is there no structure plan there now? Is it just the gravel parking area?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Bill, could
There's
you
some
ask
noise.
the person who's got the phone number to mute their phone? Because we're here,
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Me too. Thank you.
Okay, whoever has the
Thank
phone
you.
number.
I've gone
Please,
ahead.
please
I've muted them.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, John. So no structure at this time.
No, sir. No.
Okay.
And again, we're not expecting approval this evening. My intent is to introduce the commission to the project, see what your questions and concerns are, and hopefully come back next month with any answers. The commission might want to consider a site walk for this project. The location that we've chosen really minimizes disturbance at that point. The water channel is at the narrowest point, and so we're minimizing disturbance there. The culvert has been designed to pass the 50-year storm. Now, typically, a residential, not this is residential, but a residential driveway is designed for a 25-year storm. Due to the size of the watershed, which is about 300 acres in this instance, it's a pretty good watershed. We've tried to go a little bit above board. The culvert's been designed to pass the 50-year storm. And now with a 100-year storm, there's going to be about an inch of water over the driveway, which would still be passable, again, during that storm event. But we're confident that the driveway, the culvert, can definitely withstand the 50-year storm and the 100-year storm without major impacts. I mean, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, I don't expect approval this evening. I'm here to listen to your questions, your concerns. I expect to be back next month.
Bill?
I have a question. This is Mark Parker. Does
Sir.
Cohasset Brook flow north up into the Cohasset Reservoir? Because I think the Cohasset Reservoir is part of the Southbridge water supply system. And I just want to make sure that we've given proper notification to that entity.
No, that's a great question. We're just south of that, actually. Again, we're south and east of Route 198, so we're below that area. We're right near the headwaters of Cohasset Brook. And again, we're at a lower elevation from all that, so I don't expect any impacts.
Okay.
Yes.
Bill, I would like to take a note that the agenda incorrectly identifies the property. It should read map block lot, it should be 5709, block 2, lot 6, not lot 3.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My only comment, Daniel, that is the delineation of the watershed for town of Southbridge is ends somewhere right around there. And that does contribute to that Cohasset Reservoir. That Cohasset Reservoir is also linked to another reservoir on the other side of Route 198, and they have the capability to transfer water back and forth as they might desire. And as of right now, we don't have any notification requirements for the town of Southbridge. I've initiated some discussions with them, but we haven't made any formal notification processes yet.
Understood.
So, Bill, I have just a couple of questions.
Yep.
Or maybe Daniel can. So when you were looking at alternatives to accessing this property, you said that it does butt onto another road. And the reason for not using the other road as your source of access is because you would have to have crossed a large wetland system in order to gain access to the rear of the lot?
That's correct. Yeah, I think to access the site from Route 198 would involve a much larger wetland disturbance.
Okay. So then having a having an access way, without, it's quite a substantial access way. And I really appreciate the hydraulic evaluation that you did. It's very, very helpful. One of the things that crosses my mind is that once the access way is created, the land is subdividable. Is this structure designed to carry vehicles for a house or multiple houses or a road? Should either of those opportunities present themselves?
So at the moment, we've designed a 16-foot wide driveway.
Mhm.
Potentially, the applicant, I see Roy is here with me this evening. Potentially, he could construct a house off this driveway.
Mhm.
At the moment, the intent of the driveway is for recreation, hunting, and just access to the site. I don't believe there's any intent to construct a subdivision at this point.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm asking that is because this is a pretty substantial investment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart way to do it. You do it once, you don't do it a second time, you get it done. You do it the right way the first time, and at least passing a 50-year return frequency storm, you've put yourself into a good position to be able to do something later on without a lot of problems. One question I do have is, did you have a consideration of head walls for this structure? I don't think the site plan shows any head walls. I wondered whether or not you were thinking of installing a head walls because there is quite a drop.
At this time, we're not proposing any head walls. We have some riprap slopes covering the inlet and outlet.
Okay.
I'd be happy to take a look at that before the next meeting.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So present.
Yeah, it's not the riprap at the outfall, it's the riprap above the pipe
At the
and
inlet.
around the pipe.
Sure.
I don't have any further questions.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, I move to accept application 06-25, oh, excuse me, wrong one.
Mhm.
06-25-33-0198, map 5709, block 2, lot 6, proposed by Roy DeRochers for a driveway crossing. For discussion at next meeting.
I'll second it. Stuart Pease.
Okay, we have a motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Stuart Peasley to accept application 06-25-330 Route 198, map 5709, block 2, lot 6, for Roy DeRozier, proposed driveway crossing for consideration at the next wetlands meeting. Does anybody have any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. Okay, Daniel?
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yep,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'll see you in August.
Yep,
Take care.
yep, you too. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, moving on now to the next one. Application 06-25-34, 15 Butts Road, Bryant Salvis. Jurisdictional ruling for drainage improvements to the field.
John,
Right.
could you screen share this application with us? I'm particularly would want to go to the plan as well as the photographs. So I think the applicant is here.
Yes, Brian Salvis here. I'm looking, so in that picture there, you can see the erosion in the field caused by the water that comes from the upland areas. I've been working with NRCS to develop a plan for installing a drainage pipe that will basically, instead of the water running on top of the ground, it's going to run through the pipe and discharge to that low elevation and prevent the continued erosion. Basically, where that on the photo on the left, that's pretty much where the pipe would be going, right in the center of that trench and running towards Harrisville Road, and then on my property up along Harrisville Road and tie in to the pipe that goes underneath Harrisville Road. Now that picture there shows the green is the piping run.
John, could you go to page 10 of this document? Okay. According to this, which was done by NRCS, it says that this is sheet 2 of 9. Where are the other 9? Where are the other 8 pages?
I have them. I didn't know I had to include them all in the package, but I do have digital copies of that plan.
Yeah, I've got some questions about alternatives that whether or not NRCS considered alternatives. I'll explain why. When you look at this plan, and it looks like you're picking up drainage from the road. Is there a culvert there?
Yes, there's a pipe that runs underneath across Harrisville Road. Yes.
Okay, so when they took a look at that, had you gotten any information from the Public Works or NRCS whether or not that cross culvert under Harrisville Road is adequately sized to pass the required flows?
Yes, so Public Works, redid the pipe going underneath the road. I guess for this project, the pipe was degraded. And NRCS came up with the same piping size as what the town had installed.
Mhm.
Um,
So you chose
Yeah.
not to connect with the pipe that the town has, correct? There's a disconnect, there's an opening between the two?
yes, there will be, because the property kind of drops off right there.
Mhm.
The road's
Mhm.
higher than the property.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the water just discharges against a stone wall,
Mm-hmm.
and the water runs along the stone, or well, pushes through the stone wall, runs along the stone wall, is eroding the land alongside the road uh, to get there. So it would be I've worked with the town. They would be putting for the receiving area that's there now, there would be a catch basin in the bottom of that for the water to get onto my, I'll say my side of the stone wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would make that transition down the field to discharge at the lowest point of my property.
Okay, so you actually have two almost 90-degree angles in your piping system.
Yep.
Which could then be subject to clogging.
Yep.
So I noticed that judging from the topography that you've got on this plan, that the head cutting, if we can call that, where the gorge is, occurs somewhere around station 4. I'm not sure if that's 4. I can't read the number on it, but it's too small. But it's between station 480 and maybe 430. It's not clear to me. Where you've got an arrow that says 30-inch HDPE or equivalent pipe from catch basin
Yep.
3 to outlet. And it appears as though that's where the head cutting starts, where you have the deep gully. Did
That's where
NRCS?
sorry.
That's okay. So is there erosion that goes back farther to the southwest than what is shown on that topography where you see
No,
that?
where that head cutting is, that's where it's eroded into the field.
Mm-hmm.
So the pipe would be laid in that area, and then that area refilled so that the field is back to its normal size.
Did NRCS ever consider putting in a drop inlet right near the head of the head cutting and then pipe it so that you drop the grade real fast and then let it go out so that you're not piping all of that whole length, which means water won't have a chance to infiltrate back into the ground if it's in a pipe. And then you still have the surface water that's still going to keep coming over the field and potentially causing a problem over the pipe that you just installed. See what I'm saying? Is it
Not quite.
right.
The
So-
surface water that would be
coming from the
on
field?
the field
Yep, coming
would
from the
just be
field.
from the field, which
Right.
is that's a small area. That's less than an acre of rainwater.
Did they give you any hydraulics for sizing of the pipe? Did they do any
They-
analysis?
They did all the hydraulic calculations to come up with the 30-inch pipe.
Do you have that? Do you
I
have
do
that?
have the plan with me.
Because I think the hydraulics should be included in this application, because I'm concerned that what they've proposed, that there may be an alternative that still allows for groundwater recharge around the field from the drainage from the field, and the drainage from the road, as long as the water can get through that erosive area, can get dropped down through a drop inlet and released without, and stopping the head cutting from occurring. So that you kind of like have a cutoff. That
So
would
one of the
stop.
other concerns is the amount of water that goes across the field, which with this pipe would be going through the pipe, and I'll have to look in the drawings to see if they have any. I'm not exactly sure what those calculations would look like. Their calculations were based on, you know, the depth of the catch basins
Mm-hmm,
and the slope of the pipe, which is a
Mhm.
2% slope.
mm-hmm.
Those were all designed to handle the amount of water that is necessary uh, for storms.
Mhm.
So
I'm-
all
I'm
those
just con-
elevations are built for those hydraulic calculations.
Yeah, I'm just
But I guess what I'm getting at is the water that's coming from the 150-ish acres upland of this,
Mhm.
that being on the surface, it continues to erode the field itself. And then when it's making that transition to the lower elevation, that's where it's continuing to, you know, cut into the field. So I'm not sure, I guess I don't exactly understand your.
Well, you're gonna have to have some filling occurring at the end of the pipe before it discharges out, because you got quite a gorge
Yes,
there.
the discharge of the pipe, and I guess that's probably why it'd be a good idea to have the rest of the documents. The discharge of the pipe has a plunge pool. It's a armored outlet to take that water, and then there's a critical planting area after that. So, you know, a grassy location for the water after that gets to that plunge pool. It has slowed down and leaches across the critical planting area.
How quick are you looking to do this work?
uh, as soon as possible. I didn't even realize that I was going to have to do this application until I talked to Dan.
Okay,
I didn't realize that the requirements.
yeah.
So
I don't know how the other commission feels about it, but I think we need to have the additional information from NRCS. And I would like to take a look at the site, if I could walk it with John, if he's available, if he's not available. Because I'm a little concerned that you're spending a lot of money to put in this underground piping. And I'm not sure that it's gonna solve your problem. I think you may subsequently still have erosion, and you might have problems with those 90-degree angles on the pipes causing, causing clogging problems that'll be more difficult to clean out.
all the catch basins would plan has, you can cover them or have accessible ports. My intention is to have them all accessible for that very reason. If there is sediment and whatnot that builds up in those 90s.
Yeah, or if you get a stick or debris that
Sure, yep.
collects in there, leaves and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure I share that much of a concern. I'm looking at the stretch between the first 90-degree turn and the second 90-degree turn. If there's an area in there that he wants to, if he puts the pipe in there and then fills back back up to grade with the field, I'm not that concerned about whatever would sheet flow off of the field. And I think it would have plenty of time to soak into the soil, to the fill that's around that pipe and go around the pipe and into the ground. I kind of, I'm not too concerned about that stretch being, filled over, having a pipe all the way to that second 90-degree turn. Because I was trying to make sense of the two photographs. mean, because the first photo, one of the photographs shows a pretty long length of an open, gorge almost. So if that's the first stretch, I'd be okay with having them put, the pipe in so that it wouldn't be recreated with like high flows, and then fill it in to bring it up to the field. Whatever flow comes off of the field in that area, I think it's not going to be enough it's going to be plenty to soak in. I'm not so worried about the ground infiltration. I think it would flow in through the fill that's around the pipe and then actually flow around the pipe and into the deeper groundwater level underneath. So, and then as far as the second section between the second 90-degree turn point and the plunge pool, I don't know, if that would also need to be open or not.
So Mark, I took a look at the 2016 LiDAR topography that we have on the GIS, and
Yep.
this gorge has been there for quite some time.
Hmm.
And it obviously is actively eroding, so it does need to be addressed in some way, shape, or form, because all that sediment's ending up going down into the wetlands ultimately. I just wondered whether or not NRCS ever looked at doing a drop inlet, meaning keeping it all overland flow but not having seen the site, I don't know if there's erosion above that head cutting area, meaning along that first set of pipes that comes from Harrisville Road down to the second 90-degree turn. Is there any erosion there? If there's no erosion there, then why have the piping? You want the piping where you start to see your head cutting, where you start to see you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the erosion is also occurring. Well, the erosion's occurring on the town side of the stone wall,
Okay.
because that's the water either runs straight from where the pipe outlet is,
Yep.
or it runs about 50 feet alongside the road.
Yep.
And drops off about 3-4 feet.
Yep.
So and once the water gets onto the field side, it's been eroding that as well. It's just that there's a much larger transition when you get to the edge of the field there. So yes, it's been eroding since I bought the property, and it is a significant project cost, which is why I'm looking to do the work, because I have the equipment to do it.
Okay.
Well, I got a grant from NRCS to do the project,
Okay.
which is why I'm able to do it.
John, could you turn on the topo layer, the 2016 state data layer? It's under state data. Contour map. Third one down from the top. Okay, so that kind of shows you in 2016, that's what the gorge looked like. And if you look up closer to Harrisville Road, you don't see, that's why I wasn't sure where the extent of the erosion, where it started. Because sometimes I have seen in places like in Windsor Locks where they had, a clay layer underneath a sand layer, and it would head cut up through until you could cut off that water flow going through the erosive area. So that's why I was wondering how far the erosion was occurring. And that's why I'm asking that question.
The majority, well, actually, I mean, it goes the entire length of the water route. Basically, I'll say
actively eroding?
yes.
Okay.
You can see the trees shading into the field from Harrisville Road.
Yep.
I would say about halfway between Harrisville Road and the edge of that shading, that's where the water runs along, and obviously the most significant erosion is to the north. You can see that in the topography.
Yeah.
But from where the outlet of the pipe coming under the road is about where it says 100 feet.
Yeah, down in the bottom of the photograph. Yep.
So from
right there.
Yeah. Yep. because you can see that's where the, okay. So it runs from there about halfway down the field that it's eroding much more. There's a whole lot of dirt gone there, nowhere near what the outlet is, certainly. And then about the only place that it doesn't get erosion is where the field is flat at to the east of the field.
Yep.
It's flat right there, and then it
Yep.
drops off at the end.
How does, I don't know how do the other commissioners feel? This is a request for a use permitted as of right. Actually would classify, I think, as a non-regulated use under conservation of soil and water.
What's your question, Marla? Are you thinking that the system needs more detailing, or?
Well, I'd like to see the rest of the data that NRCS gave. And I think I'd also like to take a look at the property if the owner has no objection. Just to see if it's similar to other sites that I've seen in the past. And I didn't know if NRCS considered an alternative that would be less expensive for him, which would be doing a drop inlet where the major erosion is occurring, since he doesn't have a lot of erosion at the corner of the field where the shading is on the trees, from the trees. That means that because it has to drop down a slope, that's why it's head cutting there. But around the corner of the field, it's shallow, it's flat, so it's not eroding. And it's also eroding at the outlet of the storm drain system from the town's, cross culvert. Well, yeah, if that's eroding, then maybe there should be a plunge pool there. De-energize the water there, let it run around the field until you get to close to the critical point where it starts to go into the gorge. And that's where you put your drop inlet to drop the water down so it's not continuing the head cutting back. That's an alternative approach. It's probably a lot less expensive, but that's not our jurisdiction. I just wondered whether or not that was looked at or not, because if this doesn't work, it's going to continue to cost. If it doesn't work the way they think it will, then he'll have spent all that money for naught.
Well, wouldn't NRCS have considered all that by the time they decided to give him the grant?
I don't know.
Giving him the money, so.
We did discuss doing like a grassy swale kind of thing, but it would be, I guess, so large in order to slow down the water.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
It was gonna stick into the field a lot, and I'd have a very large embankment.
No, that wouldn't work. I'm just wondering whether or not they ever considered a drop inlet at near the top of the gorge.
So Marla, you're thinking that a drop inlet would be more efficient and more effective?
More cost effective and more efficient. It would allow for groundwater recharge around the edge of the field, because if you're piping everything, you're not going to have as much infiltration because it'll be in the pipe. Every catch basin is going to pick up water, even though it's not causing erosion, and pushing it off to the wetlands without a potential recharge. But that's not technically our responsibility.
Right, but we might just want to suggest they take a look at that and possibly revise what their thinking is.
Could you ask them, Mr. Salvis, could you ask NRCS if they ever considered a drop inlet?
I can do that.
And see what they say, why their reasoning was that maybe they didn't consider it. It was just a thought.
Can I understand the groundwater recharge? So this water is typically the majority of it is in the spring when you got snow melting and all that. So under normal circumstances, unless we have a torrential, 6 inches of rain, I don't get that volume of water. So the normal amount of water is remaining in the field. This system is just there to deal with those
frozen ground conditions.
Yeah. Yep.
The only
Yeah,
other,
ask on NRCS, but again, if they decided what size amount of grant money they wanted to give him, hopefully they were thinking of what's the most cost effective, the least expensive and, but yeah, go ahead and ask them. Yeah.
The other thing I would want to be assured is if they've taken into account the flow restriction of the 90-degree angle piping, because that's
Yes.
going to affect the flow.
That's all part of their design as far as the size catch basins to accommodate that.
Okay,
So could we table this till next month to give him a chance to talk to NRCS about why they didn't consider a drop inlet not too far from where the head cutting starts?
Just for me, could you, the drop inlet, would that be like
It's a yard drain. It would be like a catch basin,
yeah,
and it would have a pipe that goes vertically
straight down?
down,
Yeah,
and then it goes horizontally out, and then would have an energy dissipator at the end.
yep. So essentially, what the design is, just without the
The long
length of
distance of
pipe
pipe.
running
Right.
down Harrisville Road.
Yeah, and if you had where Harrisville Road is, you would have to have some kind of protection, de-energization of the stormwater that's coming through that cross culvert
Correct.
because you're saying there's erosion there too. So
Yeah.
you want that de-energized so that it
Yep.
slows down. It looks like the grades would allow for it, but
So that would have been the I'll still talk to NRCS, but that would be the other consideration that they had as far as like the grassy
I mean a grass swale.
grassy swale
Mhm.
to handle that water, and then at the outlet of the pipe coming from the road,
Hmm.
and then work it down. Obviously, there was no pipe considered at the end, but
Yeah. So typically grass swales can withstand about 6 feet per second in flows. So if they thought that the water coming out of the cross culvert on Harrisville Road was going to exceed 6 feet per second for that to reach that head cutting area, then obviously a grass swale would probably not work well. But if the velocities are slower than, say, 6 feet per second or 8 feet per second, then a grass swale would have worked. So I don't know. Without seeing all their stuff, we couldn't tell. Don't know what they analyzed.
yeah, I'll probably have to see if they have additional information as far as the hydraulic calculations, because I'm not seeing any velocities shown for the plan.
Okay.
Would you also like to request the additional 8 pages to review?
Yes.
Yeah.
And since you've got a grant, does a grant deal with this specific design, or does it deal with just addressing the problem?
It's specific to this design.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not,
Okay. How
at least the
long
way
do
it
you,
is right now.
how long do you have to execute the grant?
Not enough time without getting an extension. The contract expires May of next year. I lost almost a year and a half waiting for their engineering design. So I would have to put in an extension request, which is likely, even if you said yes tonight, I would likely have to put in an extension request.
You might want to do that anyways, just to be on the safe side. But
The issue for me, and obviously it's not not your guys' problem, it's my problem, is if I can't do this at all, then contract wise, I can be held liable for the engineering work that they've done.
I see.
So, that's why I'm hoping to accomplish something.
Okay. So can you wait? Can you find, is it a real problem for you to try to get that information from NRCS for us for the next meeting in August? Because that's that.
In a month, yes, I should be able to get that information to you.
Okay.
I have the remainder of the drawing package, but I don't see anywhere in it where it talks about the flow velocities that they expect to have.
Okay. I would move to table this application until next month, pending receipt of additional information and the opportunity to take a look at the site.
Second the motion.
Made by Marla Butt, second by Stuart Peasley to table this motion till this item till next month. This application 06-25-34 15 Butts Road. For more information on the other sheets of the plan and some other calculations. Did anybody have any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? No, the motion passes. So I guess, sorry that we couldn't get further, right, but we need to cover our bases and we look forward to working with you on this project. And sure, it looks like it's needed, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to administrative business, discussion of cell tower projects. Specific to the Chase Building Supply one, that we've been asked to look at this project again by some concerned citizens. I didn't take the time to review the whole thing in greater detail. I know that there was a lot of things in the technical report, particularly the last third or quarter of the technical report. You're looking at the email from Jesse Andrews. She's sees, and probably maybe others, are concerned of the lack of flood impact analysis, potential for irreversible wetland impact, and setting environmental precedent by not having robust wetlands and floodplain evaluations.
So Bill, I took a look at Putnam's new flood insurance maps, which are downstream from this. And I compared them to the current FEMA maps in Woodstock, which has an analysis and elevations. And it appears as though the new flood maps, which we're not going to get for another year, show that the elevation of the flood heights is actually a foot lower in the new flood maps in the studies that were done compared to what we have now. Because there is a cross section in the town of Woodstock's flood maps real close to the cross section that's located in Putnam's new floodplain maps. And it appears to be a foot elevation difference between the two. So I don't know if in their analysis, in their evaluation, that they've changed the height, the flood height, or lowered the flood height by about a foot, which I would expect it would continue on into Woodstock the same way. But I looked at the drawings on that were in the application materials that the siting council gave to us. And it appears that the only thing that may be impacted is the access way, which is what's Chase Lumber's access way. That goes underwater in a 100-year return frequency storm, but the cell tower would not. And it doesn't appear to have any significant change to the floodplain unless FEMA is changing the width of the floodplain in the Woodstock area, which we don't have. We have to work off of the information that we have. So I can't see as though we can provide any relief to the concern of the downstream property owners. Because I looked and found where their property was located, and they might see they're probably going to see the cell tower from their backyard, but I don't see how it's going to affect flood heights. I don't see how it's going to cause a problem to the wetlands. That's my best evaluation.
Okay. Here, my recollection from that meeting, and Molly, you might have been there at that public hearing.
I was not.
No, you weren't.
No.
Is that they've consulted the new data from the FEMA flood maps.
I don't know where they got them because we haven't even seen the drafts yet. When I talked to Diane Ivkovic, the last communication I had with her, not talked to her, but emailed her, they weren't ready to distribute the drafts even for public review. So I don't know how they got them. And I looked on the FEMA website to see if there was preliminaries up available for Woodstock. I'm sure they've got them drafted because that's part of the Quinnebog watershed, not the Shetucket. So I'm sure they did the analysis, but I couldn't find them available publicly on their website.
Go back in, or get a recording of that meeting to verify that. The other concerns are potential for irreversible wetland impact and environmental precedent. Does there anybody have any comments on those two items? Environmental precedent was approving this site without robust wetlands and floodplain evaluation.
There was quite a substantial evaluation of the wetlands and the vernal pools, potential vernal pools near the site. So I'm not sure I understand what additional research they wanted to have done. We don't have the capability of doing it.
Yep, I agree with you from my recollection of the technical report.
Yeah, the technical report had a lot of information in it.
So at this time, do we want to make any further comment to the siting council?
I don't have any comments to make to the siting council.
How does everybody else feel? Anybody?
Do we need more? Do we need more information, or are they waiting for what exactly?
The siting council has a public hearing coming up in, I believe, I want to say it was the 17th of July on this. And that's what they're looking for, us to have a statement to be placed into the record that supports some concerns that they have. And I just don't have I thought the application was pretty thorough with the evaluation, the environmental evaluation of the site. By the way, I thought whoever did that letter, that email to us requesting we review it more, did an excellent job. They had a lot of the right language to ask. The trouble is, I just don't see that we can respond in a way that is assisting them.
Any other opinion? Need a motion to move on from this?
So, sorry, just to sum it up, then, it's really not in our jurisdiction, is what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm saying we don't. The information that was provided in the application was fairly robust when it came to wetlands evaluation.
Mhm.
I didn't see anything that was missing. I mean, there was a lot of discussion about the fauna and the flora, and the potential vernal pools. So I didn't see where there was anything really missing. So it's not in our jurisdiction, first of all, because it's a siting council, but we do have the right to make comments to the siting council. And any comments that we make may not be helpful to them. At least from my standpoint, I couldn't find anything. You know where this cell tower is going to be. It's when you're looking at Chase Lumber,
Yeah, it's
you drive
to
into
the-
their driveway, it'll be off to the left on that high ground. It's not in the wetlands. The cell
Okay.
tower, yeah. And they even showed on the plans the upland review area. So some of it is in the upland review area. A little corner of it, a tiny piece of it, I think, cuts into the 100-year floodplain, but it's just a very tiny piece by comparison. Most of the access is already provided because of Chase Lumber driveway. So it's not like they're filling to build an access way, except for a small portion when they come off that driveway into where the cell tower site is. They're not in a high flow area, because you would look at the chain link fence that they'd have to put around it. I didn't know if they were talking about putting in a generator. Didn't see anything on that. Because when we had that big outage, when we had like week off, and a lot of the cell towers started to run without power. They lost power. They didn't have generators. So I don't know if generators have been put in there, and those could be noisy. But those would only work during events when you had no electricity or cell tower. Or internet access.
I'm not hearing anything that would encourage us to offer further comments. Shall we just have an official motion on reserving our right to make further comments?
Sounds reasonable.
Somebody like to make the motion?
I'm just curious. I'm looking at Miss Andrews' request, and she requests that respectfully ask the commission to 1, formally review the project, 2, submit public comment, 3, whatever. I think we should probably at least say, we have formally reviewed this project and we have submitted, our comments, back in January or whatever it was, and that we did address this. As far as request a site walk or third-party review, I guess we could respond that, we didn't feel that we needed to do a site walk. I don't know. What do the rest of you think?
That sounds good to me.
Bill, do you know if my comments got read into the record at the informational hearing, the ones that I provided to Dan? Can't hear you.
I don't recall exactly whether they were read in or written in or anything.
Okay.
All of the correspondence, as you hopefully saw, like the correspondence between the Andrews and the chairman and you, Marla, have all been archived on the town websites. So it's a matter of public record. I don't know if they were obviously read physically.
No, but I had provided Dan with a notes on this application, the cell tower application. And here were some of the things that I asked. Why wasn't the town-owned property at 49 Payne District? Oh, wait a minute, that's Route 169. Wrong one. Sorry. All right, 171. Okay, so I made some comments. I said that they had an incorrect address. They called it 159 Butts Lane, and there's no 159. When they were looking at other sites, I said there is a 159 Butts Road, but then the wetland maps are unclear. They had a description on page 32 of the report. It says the wetlands and flood zones are present on the property. And I had the question, is the flood zone referred to the FEMA delineated flood zone? If yes, note FEMA is updating its mapping and should be available in March of 2025. We have now been told it's going to be later. And will there be any change in the location of the special flood hazard area, i.e. the 100-year flood zone, that would affect the proposed compound? And then on page 39 of the report, I had some questions about the wetlands boundary. I said the plan sheet fails to contain and should contain, 1, the name of the qualified soil scientist that delineated and flagged the wetlands, and 2, the wetland flag numbers, and 3, was there a sign statement either in the report or on the plan that the wetlands delineated on the plan is an accurate representation of the wetlands delineated by the qualified soil scientist? And then I had them from page 42 of the report. This is the original report. I think they amended their report. They added some things to it, and it could have been in response to this. The wetlands flags need to be placed in the plan sheet. And then I asked the questions. The wetlands inspection report says the wetlands were inspected by Matthew Gustafson, registered soil scientist. There is no state registration for soil scientists. It's assumed that Mr. Gustafson is the same Matthew Gustafson listed in the Society of Soil Scientists of Southern New England. It's a registry of soil scientists. If that is the case, then Mr. Gustafson's qualifications should meet the definition of soil scientist given in the Wetlands and Watercourses Act. The report does not, but should state Mr. Gustafson delineated the wetlands. And it said the wetlands inspection report, this is on page 55 of the original report. The wetlands inspection report states within the eastern portion of the complex, a large vernal pool was identified within the wetlands interior. This area predominantly contained shrub vegetation dominated by silky dogwood and buttonbush. Over 2 feet of water was present during the time of the inspection, and wood frog and spotted salamander egg masses were observed during the preliminary vernal pool inspection. Wood frog chorusing was also identified within this vernal pool feature. Follow-up investigation is recommended to determine the productivity of breeding and to assess the potential related impacts, project impacts. And my question was, is this vernal pool the one labeled vernal pool number 1 on page 58 of the PDF? And then subsequent to these comments that I gave, I saw their detailed evaluation of the vernal pool. There wasn't a report that came out from, and I can't remember what the name of the ecologist or herpetologist, I guess they're called. I'm not sure that there was a report that came out, and it was quite detailed on the activities in the wetlands for the vernal pools. So that's why I don't have any comments. I'm not going to make the motion, but if somebody else wants to make the motion, they're more than welcome to.
Or do we even need a motion, or shall we?
Nah.
I just want to make sure that they understand that we've given careful consideration to their request.
That sounds good.
Are those requests, is that in the posted documents? I don't see it here.
Yes, it is.
I didn't see.
In the email that you have in the list. Page 1 is the actual email, and then there's a series of, and Bill read them off. Lack of flood impact analysis, potential for irreversible wetland impact, environmental precedents. And then on the last page, I respectfully ask the commission to formally review. Number 2, submit. Number 3, and I would say that we have already done that. Well, we didn't do a site walkthrough, so we might want to say at this time, we don't feel we need to do a site walk.
Or third-party review.
What was that?
Or third-party review.
Or third-party review, right?
Well, we don't have
So-
any monies to do a third-party review.
Right. So,
We're broke. Well, maybe not since the budget passed, but we don't have much money.
So should we just leave it at that with this documented recording and move on? Or would somebody like to make an official motion?
I think it was just sending them a notification that they should listen to the recording and or the minutes when they get
Okay.
produced. So they should be notified of that. Who exactly did they send it to? Was it to Dan, the email?
I believe the email went to Bill. Yeah, I went to Bill, copied Dan, Marla, Marty,
Yep.
copied the whole commission, but it was addressed to the chair.
So I think the best answer would be just to give them a reply that we discussed it at this meeting. And they're welcome to listen to the recording and look at the minutes. Because I don't think the commission has any need to take any further action on it. I did have an issue with the other cell tower they were proposing, but not this one.
Okay. All right, we will move on then.
Bill,
What's the status of that other cell tower, Marla?
I have no idea. I had made a suggestion to the first selectman to offer an alternative location, which would be up by the old landfill, off of Payne District Road.
Mhm.
The one that they were proposing, the site they had, if you recall the Reynolds property, that they had wanted to do a motocross about, I don't know, was it 8 years ago? They wanted to do a one weekend thing and there were wetlands that were up there and we weren't sure exactly what they were doing. This is, where the house that burnt down on 169?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was up across the street from that. That's where the other cell tower was. And the one that I was suggesting that apparently the first selectman could have suggested to the applicant is up by the landfill, up by the transfer station. The
Mhm.
town owns quite a bit of land there. It is
Yeah.
fairly high and it would have provided service to Roseland Lake or Roseland Park, which this one doesn't necessarily provide it. When you look at the maps, neither the Route 171 nor the 169 provided that kind of access for those. So I don't know what he did with that information because I figured it was at least 600 feet away from any residential home where they could put it, but it would be probably fairly visible to some of the neighborhood homes.
600 feet is actually not that far.
No, but it is one of the requirements, I think.
Mm.
One of the sites that they looked at was the elementary school, which you don't want to put it right next to an elementary school, not with the electronics and stuff.
Yeah, radiation.
Mm. So I don't know the
Right.
answer.
Okay, let's move on. We have
Bill,
enforcement. Yes, go ahead.
this is a borrowed computer that I'm on and the owner wants it back. So I'm going to have to leave at this point, but thanks. I always get information. I always learn something by listening to you guys. So I'll see you in August.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Good night. And
Good night.
good night. for the record, Kathy Barrick is leaving at 9:05 p.m. Moving on to enforcement, 06-25-29V, 203 Crystal Pond Road, Johnny Barlow violation clearing sand and excessive approval. Looks like we have Mr. Barlow here, and I think Norm is waiting patiently also.
Yes. Well, interesting conversation for sure. Right. Thank you for the record, Norm Tebow, Killingly Engineering Associates. Mr. Barlow contacted me upon receiving his notice of violation. As I understand it, there are two separate issues. Number one being the amount of well, initially there was a report that some sediments and sand had washed into the pond from his excavation. And he put up additional silt fence as a result of that, too. And those are pictures from, when things were, where they had that initial, I guess, for lack of a better term, blowout in the silt fence. And in the center there, you could see where you had some concentrated runoff get through the silt fence. That has since been repaired. They have silt fence and staked hay bales. It's very well contained. I have some newer pictures as well. If you'd like me to share them with you, we could discuss those. But the erosion into the pond has ceased. So between the repair and the silt fence and additional hay bales, and the way that they graded after excavating the foundation hole, what they've actually done is really significantly reduced the drainage area that drains toward the pond. There's just where the foundation hole is, there's a little bit of an embankment that drains down to that silt fence and hay bale barrier. I would estimate it's maybe about 15 feet of slope that drains in that direction at this point. And you're not getting any kind of severe concentrated runoff from the slope on the other side of the property that was over cleared. So, as I said, I do have pictures. If I could share them with the commission, I could kind of describe, and I think it makes a little bit more sense to take a look at them and see what what the current conditions are out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I do that, John?
Yeah, you should be
Screen
able
share.
to. I think I don't think it's blocked.
You don't think it's locked? Okay, let me see here. Hang on. Share. All right, here we go. So. The shared window is closed. Oop, okay, hang on. Let me try this again. Okay. All right. Everyone see that?
Mhm.
All right. So this is the beach area. You've got the silt fence backed up with the staked hay bales, and the boulders and soil that you see here is the slope along the edge of the foundation.
Could you double click that, Norm, so we could see it in full? Because we're seeing tiles.
You're still
photographs and
seeing the
tiles.
tiles?
Yeah.
I have it full on my screen. Hang on, let me see what I can do here.
Probably because you shared the window of the photo and not the photo itself.
Okay, all right, hang on then. Stop share. So let me open up. Let me see if I can share.
Yeah, if you open up the photo and then share that.
Any better?
There you go.
Much
All right.
better.
All right, good. So this is this is looking at it, clearly this is the pond here, this is the beach area. We've got the line of silt fence and the staked hay bales. Actually, on both sides of it, you've got staked hay bales. So you've got really a triple layer of erosion and sediment control here. As you can see at the very bottom of the toe of the slope here, this comes down from the foundation. You can kind of see the bare ground behind the silt fence over here. There really isn't any additional erosion coming off of this slope and making its way down toward the pond. Let me see if I can. I'm going to see if I can get to other ones here. Boy, I'm having issues with this.
I don't feel bad. I did it last month. I had problems.
Okay. So here. You see that?
You see the tiles.
You see the tiles again. Oh my gosh. Hang on. Okay, oh, I can share that. Any better there?
No.
No, we're still seeing,
There we
yeah,
go.
we see it.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah, I had it.
Yep,
yep.
there you go.
Got that there?
Yep.
All right, this is this crushed stone here is along the edge of the foundation. As you can see, here's the slope that drains down toward the beach area. All right. Let me see if I can get other ones. This is the foundation itself.
Yep.
As you can see here, this is the footing from the foundations. As you can see here, the slope comes up from these footings here. So this drainage area is just simply this small slope here. In the background, you can see the slope that was over cleared. But what they've done is it's got a very heavy layer of wood chips on that slope. I did not observe any areas of concentrated runoff or rilling or channelization of any kind coming off that slope. I really feel as though it's been stabilized. To the best of our measurements, it looks like there's about somewhere between 26 to 2,700 square feet of additional clearing than what was shown on the plans. As you can see kind of in the background on this picture, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit here. This portion of the slope that was cleared, all the stumps are still in place there. They didn't actually clear or pull the stumps out of there, so the ground is pretty stable. And the only area where they've done the grading, they've completely covered it with wood chips.
Mhm.
All right, now let me see here. Let's see if I can get one more here. This one here.
It looks like they've done a lot of work to get the water
Yeah,
under control.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having
No, that's
difficulty
okay.
with this. So in my opinion, this slope that was over cleared is very stable. And as I said, the only area that they actually disturbed on that slope by removing stumps, they've got a very heavy layer of wood chips that they put on that disturbed area. The rest of it, where they cleared some trees and some brush and so forth, They have not disturbed that slope at all. You still have the boulders and all the root system of the plantings that are on that slope that are keeping it stable. And as I said, there's no evidence of any kind of concentrated runoff on that slope that I see. And as far as the beach goes, I know on our on the original approval, there was 15 cubic yards of sand that we had specified going on the beach, and I understand there was a little bit more than that added to it. And the reason I believe is that when they started stripping the area of the topsoil and subsoil so they could put that sand down, there was a little bit more than what we anticipated. I look back on my original calculations, and I estimated somewhere between 12 and 15 inches of topsoil and subsoil, and it was closer to 2 feet or even a little bit more, which, you know, in order to replace that organic material, they just put down some extra sand to create the beach area. It's not any larger than was shown on the plans. It's just the sand itself is a little bit deeper because of the subsoil materials that were encountered when they were doing the work.
Well, it looks to me like they fixed the problem.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job of stabilizing it. Like I said, isolating it. They really did a nice job of backing the silt fence with hay bales on both sides of it. There's no runoff at all getting down to the sandy beach. You know, any of the erosion that occurred as a result of the runoff onto the sandy beaches has ceased. And we're not getting any kind of excessive runoff in that direction any longer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions, comments?
I'm satisfied. I think the violation notice has been addressed.
For the record, we will say that the Wetlands Agency is satisfied with the remediation for file number 06-25-29V, 203 Crystal Pond Road, Woodstock Valley, Connecticut, for Johnny Barlow.
So the record should note that the application, the permit that was issued was file number 09-22-05. It's not referenced in the agenda, but that's what the permit number was.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Yep, thank you, Norm.
All right.
Thanks, Norm.
Take care.
All right, next item on the agenda is an exit house. I believe we've discussed that thoroughly enough.
Mhm.
We can move on to administrative business. Wetlands agent report from Dan Malo. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? Questions on locations or anything?
None. I have no questions.
All right, let's move on then. Correspondence. I don't. The only correspondence, well, there's a couple things actually. There's a notice from the town of Woodstock concerning the Kenyonville Bridge Road, Kenyonville Road Bridge. It's a public hearing, and that's our presentation tomorrow night that's coming up. This is federal and state funding, and I don't know that we need to have any further involvement with it unless somebody comes up to us with something particular at this point, unless somebody else has any different idea.
Is that an information meeting, information hearing?
Yes,
Is that DOT?
yes.
Yeah, they typically hold those, but so any subsequent, is that for a town road? Or
Yes,
state
it's a
road?
town,
Yeah,
Town
okay.
road.
169, 131.
That,
Yeah, it's Kenyonville Road Bridge. That's just the file number. The one
so
sixty-nine
what's
is probably,
Kenyonville Road? Is that a state roaded road?
that should be a town road.
Might
Well,
be
they
state-
give,
It might be state numbered. I can check.
Okay, well, maybe that's one of those
Typically-
small numbers that doesn't get published.
Yeah.
Over
So-
I
the
can't
still,
understand what,
it's no, I think this is state road. That's why the Connecticut DOT is doing it.
yeah, so
Road
typically,
over the Still River, yeah. Isn't Kenyonville Road Route 171?
No,
No.
sorry, no.
No?
Kenyonville Road is where the ice cream place is, right?
yeah, Bucks.
Where Bucks is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a state numbered road. That's a local road, but it's
Yeah.
it's probably a big enough bridge that it qualifies for state intervention.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, well, that's tomorrow night by Zoom, and I've signed up for it. And the document on the website with the meeting stuff, none of those links work. So you're gonna have to type it in yourself if you want to go there. And you'll have to go there if you want the information of actually how to get into the discussion if need be, or they also have place where to get the archive.
This
The
is
other-
for, this is for which, what's this for?
Kenyonville Road, the bridge on Kenyonville Road.
Okay, so. And we're just overlooking it because it's in wetlands, watercourse.
No, it's just general information that it's not coming before the local wetlands. It's being managed. The environmental permitting is being done at a state level.
Okay,
Okay, the other thing that would be correspondence potentially is the email to renew our Kakiwick membership. Do we wish to renew that?
yes. Do we have money?
Um, hopefully.
Well,
Um,
I don't think we lost all of that. We actually had, I think, a slight increase in our budget.
what?
Yes, I think it was for us for the advertising.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't think we lost that capability. So yeah, if we do, we should be, I would move that we pursue the renewal of our Kakiwick membership. Did we do it with conservation last time? Because sometimes if the two commissions do them together, they get a discount.
Not 100% sure, but that's typically the way we have been doing it.
Mhm.
I guess we'll need to follow up with that. How do we want to follow up on this? I can probably contact somebody from conservation and we could submit it together, I suppose.
So because that is less than, do we have in our bylaws? Excuse me. The authorization for the wetlands agent to do up to $100. So that he doesn't have to, we don't have to have a motion.
Something like that, I believe.
Yeah, I think we changed the bylaws to allow for that. So, okay. See the expenditure of monies in there, but am I looking at the right one? No, figures I'm not. All right, where are the bylaws? That's the regs. Be probably faster looking up online than trying to look through my book. Could have sworn we put that in there. So that we didn't have to come to us to do the issuance of legal notices. Anybody else have any recollection?
Remember that?
You might as well move on until I can find out what the bylaws say, because I don't think we need a motion to do that. No.
I think if you've got money in your budget for memberships, we can just proceed.
Yeah, it's more has to do with the expenditures of money, whether you send it in, John. If you're the
Oh.
agent and you're authorized to do, like do the legal notices and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And-
I mean, I don't cut the checks. So
No,
it
but
would
you
just be
put in the
process.
requisition.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it there. I thought we did put that in. All right.
I thought so too, but I have to go back and look.
Yeah, I don't see it.
All right, well, let's move on. John, you're gonna take care of that then?
I
Okay,
will. Yeah, the form is on the desk. I'll take care of it.
okay, thank you. Financial report, that's the stuff that's all finished now anyways. I don't know if anybody wants to have any question or comment about that. It's starting to get late, so.
Doesn't apply
can-
anymore, right? We have a new budget.
Yep,
John, I think if you ask Karen for those printout before the next meeting, that she usually is what gives them to Dan. Or used to give them to Dan.
Yep.
We don't have much
All
money
right.
anyway, so.
I apologize. I just found the form. You sign up, you can get a $65 for one commission. And then you can get 2 commissions. So like the Conservation Commission, maybe they would want to, I don't know, I'm just, because for 2 commissions, it's $120. So that would be 60 for the wetlands and 60 for the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission.
Yeah, so I think what's happened in the past is, at least what I used to do in Thompson is, it was be one requisition, and we'd identify, which each one was, and there'd be one form sent in for both. But I don't know. I don't know how
Right,
Tom
right.
Woodstock does it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how Woodstock did it.
Okay.
all right, well, it's starting to get late now, so somebody want to point a dart at one of the remaining objects on the agenda?
I think
Memory,
all of the remaining objects require some time. I'm wondering,
I have no objection to putting them all off. The application forms, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at them, I need to finish the instructions portion of that.
yeah,
On the MOU for town projects, until we come into a problem that, we can still, there's no rush on that. That was an initiative that I started. But I would like to.
sorry, what is MOU?
Memorandum of Understanding. It's what we're telling Public Works. We understand this is how we understand their operations work and when they need to come to us for specific approvals.
Okay,
I would say one thing about the recommendations for the changes to the town zoning regulations. There's a missing word at the end of that needs to be added. So when we go to talk about it next time,
At the end of the actual proposed regulations themselves?
yeah, I actually I don't see it here in the listing. It's not in there it is. Okay. It should say report to, at the very end on page 82. It said, oh, no, go to the bottom. Okay, right there. Stop.
Oh, there.
Stop.
Okay.
Okay. It says, the commission shall give due consideration to the report of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency. agency is missing from that. So that's the only thing that needs to be added. I looked at it again today and I'm still correct in everything that I'm suggesting, but if the commission is not ready to pass on that, I don't think there's anything urgent. I don't know where the Planning and Zoning Commission stands on amending their regulations, but
You sent those out, right? I just didn't
to
get a
every,
chance to
to the commission members, yeah, a couple of
weeks ago.
maybe a month and a half ago now.
Right.
You need me to resend in those again?
It might save you time looking for it.
Okay,
If you can, I appreciate
I
it.
can do that. That's not a problem.
Marla, were you the keeper of those documents?
Dan has them all. There should
Okay.
be in the
Okay,
files,
like
but I'll,
that's it's as a PDF. But I mean, if you're going to add a Word, do you have the Word version?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. And not only that, I can convert it back from a PDF because I've got Adobe Acrobat. Dan was supposed to get Adobe Acrobat on the computer at work. I don't know if you ever got it.
I don't
I
know if
think
he
he did.
does. I can certainly. Yeah, it looks like he probably did because he added the stamp to he added the timestamp to a bunch
He
of
was
the
doing-
PDF
yeah.
documents.
Sometimes he was going on to websites and getting funky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a version on my personal work laptop,
Yeah.
so that's yeah.
they should have one at, well, they should have one at Town Hall because Tracy might need it if she's going to start assembling this stuff. I
Mhm.
don't know how you guys are going to work that out together. What she does for the commission and what you do. Because there's a lot of scanning that's done.
Yeah.
So.
All right,
So if
so we're,
you want to table those to next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. That's, I'm good with that.
okay, then the POCD, we're supposed to have a meeting July 2nd. I don't know what's happened with Amy. She might be done with the town. We received no notifications about that meeting one way or another, and there was a ad in the shopper's guide for a recording secretary for Monday and Thursday meetings, so I kind of have a feeling that maybe she left. That's something worth finding out. That might be
Amy's
why
done. Amy's done.
maybe, I'm not sure, but
Oh.
that's what it appears to be.
Okay.
So there's nothing happened recently. We'll have to look for a way forward from that. Citizens' comments, I don't believe we have any citizens here. John, do you have some things you want to ask us or tell us or?
Just one quick question. I wanted to clarify a little bit of the procedure for the agent approvals and on how the commission feels about that. Specifically, I did get an inquiry about a property on Hiawatha, I think 33 Hiawatha, who wanted to do a new carport, which would be up near the road away from the water. Certainly probably within the upland review area, but warranting some level of review. I didn't know what the commission's procedure was for that sort of thing. Obviously, you had an agent approval that you looked at today, that's been notified, but you tell me what you're comfortable with.
The position we had with Dan originally is we had him on a very short rope and didn't let him do a whole lot of anything. But where we ended up was that anything in the water has to come to us. And anything next to the water, specific, if it's just anything next to the water should come to us. And anything in the water, so.
Within the 125-foot range for lakes.
Well, if you're potentially touching the water or immediately adjacent to the water, then that should come to us. In the case of the carport, if it's further up enough in the upland review area, it's that's at your discretion.
Dano would always find that if there was something he wasn't sure of, he would hold off issuing it and bring it
Right.
to us, and then we'd say, yeah, go process it as a wetlands agent approval. But I don't have a problem. We'll figure this out because every wetlands agent approval that you issue should
Mhm.
show up on the agenda at some
Yep.
point, either as a new application or an old application, whatever. We should be seeing it so we get to see the documents then and what you've issued and what the plans were, so that we can give you feedback if we have some concerns, or if it's a public, we've never had an appeal. In all the time that we've done it, they just don't appeal, so.
Right. Okay. So we'll
Yeah.
figure it out as we go.
Yep.
And I just they're still processing my email accounts. So for the next couple of days, if you need to get a hold of me, I just before this meeting when I was having technical difficulties in accessing the account, I sent you all an email. So
Yep.
you should have my email and my contact information. That includes, I think, my cell phone. So feel free to contact me at that address, the email address, and sooner than later I'll have a Woodstock address also.
Okay, sounds good. Does anybody have any questions for John?
Thank you, John. Glad to meet you.
You as well, and for folks who I haven't met before, obviously I worked with Marla in the past, and Mark has been around forever. I was your first town planner 20-something years ago.
Wow.
Wow. During the Delta Valley administration, if you remember that far back. So I was your town planner for about 1.5 years, and then I went over to Thompson, and life moved on. I worked for CME for a long time. Anyway, so I've sort of full circle been involved with Woodstock off and on for 25 years, and I'm happy to be back in the office.
Cool.
Well, we're glad to have you too.
Well,
So you know your way around.
one thing that you will find is that the wetlands agent before Dan got a records disposal authorization from the first selectman, Jay Swan at the time, never told us about it,
Oh dear.
and disposed of all of our old records, some of which were still valid permits. Never told us about it. When Dan came in, he found they were all gone. Found out that this records disposal, and the state library never changed its records retention and disposal plan based upon the changes in the statute, which gave permits a 14-year life up to a 19-year life.
Sure.
So that's how they ended up just getting destroyed. And I had contacted the state library several times when I was over at Thompson, and they never changed never changed the plan.
That's not ideal.
So John, I've got 2 boxes of old, documents I'm going to drop off at the town hall for you and Tracy to go through. So if there's any documents that were disposed and I have them in my box, you can keep them, make copies of them or whatever.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep. Just a note, when I spoke with Dan a few times before he was finished, there is a log there, a log book that he's been logging in, that he's been diligent in keeping. He also has an Excel spreadsheet. He probably gave you instructions and all that anyway.
He did. He maintained excellent records, outstanding records. So that's, yeah. I'm going to try not to screw it up.
Okay. All right. Any other comments from anybody? And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Stuart Peasley.
Second.
Motion by Stuart Peasley to adjourn, second by Mark Parker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes at 9:40 p.m.
One question, I know we're 9:40 p.m. John, what are your work hours?
Initially, I'll plan to be there in person on Monday afternoons and Thursday mornings.
Okay.
And then, we'll be remote and available all of the times via email, text, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Thank you.
Monday morning, Thursday afternoon.
Other way around.
Oh,
Monday afternoon, Thursday morning.
okay.